create things that I thought were funny and that were good. Okay, now I have this audience. Now it's about keeping them and growing it. Right?
At 15,000 followers,
Totally.
you're like, yeah, I'm done.
Your potential could tap out way up here if you just keep at it. I think I will keep at it.
Like, what was the point where it was like, oh shit, now we got something here? From South Bend to Evansville and everywhere in between, this is Get In, the show focused on the Hoosier State and the incredible stories happening here today. I'm Nate Spengel, founder of Get Indiana, and I will be your host for today's conversation. All right, folks, if you're in the mood for some seriously good eats, let me tell you about the HC Tavern and Kitchen in the heart of the Fishers District. It's the spot whether you're grabbing a business lunch, brunch with friends, a romantic dinner, or just hanging out and enjoying some cocktails. They have huge culinary classics like the world-famous St. Elmo shrimp cocktail and the filet sliders, as well as dishes you can only find at the HC Tavern, like the lobster cargo and the spinalis steak. I mean, come on, does it get better than that? And you know what's awesome? It's right near all the action, close to the Fishers Event Center, IKEA, and Topgolf. So no matter what your day's looking like, a stop at the HC Tavern and Kitchen just makes sense. The vibe is super welcoming with a touch of class. Perfect for any occasion, whether you're out with friends or making it a date night. So whether you're in the area looking for a fun night out or looking for a place to grab a bite after shopping, swing by the HC Tavern and Kitchen. You'll see what I'm talking about. Good vibes, amazing food, and amazing hospitality. Now let's get back into it. Today I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Joey Mulinaro.
Man, you got the man, the myth, the legend intro.
Yes,
That's
sir.
very nice.
Come on.
I love it.
Now, Joey's a Southside Indianapolis native who gained national recognition for his spot-on sports impressions. Most famously, Nick Saban, Andrew Luck. After working behind the scenes in sports radio, he skyrocketed to viral stardom, eventually landing a gig at Barstool Sports before going independent in 2022. Now with millions, yes, millions of viewers across YouTube, Instagram, X, Twitter, we still call it Twitter around here, Joey continues to craft comedic sketches, collaborate with major brands, and represent the Hoosier spirit on a national scale. Today we're going to be talking about the journey from the South, the Ron Colley Royals, to what he's doing now on a global stage at this point, man. Welcome to the show.
Dude, thanks so much for having me. I know that I had to reschedule 2 or 3 times, so I apologize, but I'm super psyched to be here.
Turns out when you're doing big things, traveling all around and you know, working with some of the biggest brands that people know about, you nailing down scheduling can be hard, but we're pumped to have you here, dude.
Thank you, man. Yeah, and really, most importantly, it's the 2 kids. It's the 2 under 2 that really messes with my schedule, makes it difficult.
Well, a dog, 3 cats, and 2 under 2.
Yeah.
That will that'll take a little bit of time there. But it's cool to balance that, right? Talking about, you know, being a new dad with 2 under 2 while also continuing to like live out this, crazy life of being a creator, right? It's awesome.
Yeah, man. I guess it's not 2 under 2 technically anymore. My son's 2.5, but I still like to, when you have 2 of them, I feel like you chop off and make, it sounds better.
Time doesn't seem to exist as much. It's like, are they 2? Are they 10? You know, somewhere in there, right?
They all run together. I told you before we got on here, they've been sick for like 4 days. You know, got the note from the doctor of just ride it out. So we're just hunkering down and riding out for however long this thing lasts. I don't know, but it's been a week, and man, it's the life I live. I think is definitely a unique one, and one I hope that you and your listeners enjoy.
Well, I think we will, because the career path is non-traditional, especially in the state of Indiana. You know, like the idea of posting content and getting, you know, millions of viewers and finding out how to monetize that and but also be authentic. Like, there's just a lot of puzzle pieces that go into it. Yeah. But it's like when you were coming up, you graduated back in 2012 from Southside. Like, was the idea of being an internet creator just like, that's what I want to go do?
No, dude, it doesn't exist. I mean, when you're in 2012, 2011, right? I'm in the process of looking to where I want to go to school, what I want to do, right? And when I'm 16, 17, 18, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I want to be Jimmy Fallon. You know, I want to be David Letterman. I want to be Adam Sandler. Not really any straight pathway.
Like, where do you go to school? Like, I'm coming to Ball State, and I'd like to major in David Letterman, please.
I mean, that was essentially what I did. Like, I eventually sat down and was like, hey, I'm good in speech class. I saw in the speech book that David Letterman said the same thing, and he wasn't good at math and science. I'm not good at math and science. You know, I like to do like characters and stuff. I would love to like be on SNL one day or host a show like David Letterman one day. I guess I'm just going to go to Ball State and go to the David Letterman building, and maybe I'll go in there, Joey Mulinaro, and I'll come out transformed as David Letterman 2.0. You know, like that was essentially my thought process. And it was one that I could sit down with my folks. I mean, they've always been supportive, right? They've always wanted me to chase what I wanted to do and thought that I had the talent. And, you know, they're very much like, oh, dude, you know, you're great. You're great. You know, you're hilarious. You know,
You're so funny.
Right. They're very much like that kind of parent. And, you know, I'm sure that is a detriment to me in a different way. But it was never like, what do you mean you want to Hollywood? Well, you're crazy. But at the same time, I had to show them that had a plan of some sort. So my plan was go to Ball State as a starting off, right? Study media, get on TV, get on the radio. And then, hey, if I'm on the radio and TV talking about sports or weather or whatever it is, maybe I can get into a character and then people pick up on that. And then all of a sudden, boom, there we go. David Letterman. Done.
Yeah,
So that was
Saturday Night Live's calling.
Exactly.
Like, we heard you on
on Channel 6, Channel 8 with Anthony Calhoun. You did that funny weatherman guy, and we really liked it. You know?
Yeah, we definitely saw that. That hit us.
I'm 17 years old. I'm like, I mean, it makes more sense than just saying, hey, I want to be David Letterman.
It's like you're at Thanksgiving with Grandma, and you're like, Grandma, David Letterman started as a weatherman too. Like, it's okay.
Pretty much.
Right?
I mean, yeah. And he did. I mean,
He
David
did.
Letterman.
I think it was like 10 months or something like that, or like a year or two maybe. We had Jeff Smulyan, who is the founder of MS Communication, and he's the one who
My
found
old
him.
boss.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. So there's a lot of overlaps of like, you did explore like the traditional route to start,
because
right?
the way I always say it when people ask me about it is, you know, for people around me, even still, even some of my best friends who you understand Catholic school, and like I've gone to school with these guys since I was in first grade. They were all my wedding. We all still talked on a daily basis. So, you know, like to them, even still, they're kind of like, I don't know what Joey does exactly. You know, it's crazy what Joey's doing. It's cool. But the way I always say it is when I was 16, 17, 18 and looking to do that, you know, me saying that I wanted to get into entertainment and comedy as a career may as well have been saying to all those people that I want to go to Mars. Okay. Like the people that I grew up with and the world that I grew up in, that at least had more of a like, well, I mean, you go to Purdue and then you study, you know, whatever the engineering and everything. Yeah. That's a pathway. Maybe you could go to Mars. That's a more realistic thing than being like Saturday Night Live. Right. So my thought process was, like I said, if I go to be on TV and radio, even if it's talking about sports, being in entertainment and comedy for a living is Mars. Well, then being in front of a camera talking about whatever it is, that at least gets me to outer space.
Yeah, you're on the moon there.
I'd at least try to get to outer space. You have a better shot at getting to Mars if you're in outer space than still being on Earth, right? Yeah. And that's kind of how, that was my thought process and kind of how I've always used as a parallel, an analogy.
And fallback, right? Like there's a safety net there. It's like,
yeah.
you know, if you could host a radio show.
Totally.
Like even now, let's say, I don't know, both of us, if Instagram, all social media turned off, we could go downtown to Hank 103, whatever, 97.1 Hank FM. Sorry about that. 97.1 Hank FM and be like, hey, you're entertaining. Like throw me on the radio. Like give me the lunch spot. And there's like a established career that's like that's safe, you know. Yeah. And so you go through school. You have a degree. You finish at Ball State, right?
I didn't. No, I do have a degree. Yeah, but I left Ball State after my freshman year.
Okay.
Because this is such a firstborn mama's boy thing. I was homesick. I was a little culture shocked. Even going an hour and 10 minutes away.
Muncie can do that to a person,
right? And you know, going from where I went to grade school and high school, my world was so small that then even going to a school that has, 18,000, 20,000 undergrads, it was, whoa. And I was away for the first time. Even though I could come back on the weekends because it was only an hour or so, I wasn't emotionally mature enough, ready to go for that. And so I went to Ball State and I kind of threw myself out there a little bit. Like I had a sports talk show on Thursday nights for an hour.
What at what time slot?
7 to 8.
Oh,
so
that's not bad,
right?
Yeah.
That was like right the birth of Thursday night football being every week in the NFL. Because remember, for a while there, they only started doing it like November, December, Thursday night football.
Yeah.
But that year, my freshman year, is when, like, I think starting after week two, they had Thursday night football.
Like 8 o'clock kickoff too, probably. So you're like giving like the pregame show.
Right. Yeah.
For the Muncie locals, baby.
The Average Joe sports show. That was it. Right there, you know?
I love that.
And so I'm 18. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know about clocks and radio or buttons or anything. I'm just like, I don't know. I guess I'll just get on here and like give my opinions about Andrew Luck, who the Colts just drafted, you know, like just exploring in no ways. I had no idea what I was doing. But it's cool. It was like, hey, I'm 18. I've got an hour-long show. This is great. In the David Letterman building, I'm on my path, right? We're doing it. But I was just a little homesick, and something just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like where I was supposed to be. My mom was like, well, if you're going to transfer, like, you need to go somewhere that at least, like, has a good media program, something. Then University of Indianapolis, I look it up, and, like, they have a great radio program, you know?
And you're 3 minutes from home or whatever it is, right?
Exactly.
There you go.
And it's right in my backyard. The moment I stepped on campus and in those buildings there, I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
That's good.
Yeah.
Internally, like that's a lot where your path was like, get yourself in the sphere of David Letterman, right? There's a path here. Like someone has at least done it. I don't know. Speaking of media personalities from UIndy, I don't know if there's a really esteemed journalist or anyone that has come through there. Did you have like a little bit of a conflict of like, oh man, I'm straying from the path that I thought, or you're like, no, this is 100%, this is the right move for me right now. I go full speed.
By that point, I was 100% just like, you know what? It's not that important to be in the David Letterman. For me, it's not that important for me to be in the David Letterman building. And UIndy does have, you know, maybe not nationally in terms of like seeing people as like network anchors or anything, but I mean, they churn out a lot of media personalities, both locally, regionally, who have long careers.
Yeah, I feel like I meet a lot of, and like people that make it all happen. Like I feel like there's a lot of UIndy grads that are like, oh, operating cameras or producers are like the real guts that make a lot of media happen.
Yeah. Greg Rakestraw. I don't know if have you had him?
I haven't had him on.
He'd be great.
He is awesome. He's everywhere doing all the things.
You want to talk about Indiana? I mean, just sit Rake down in here and just say 1992 regional championship. And he would rattle off the starting lineups for both teams, the final score. I mean, it'd be great. Like, it'd be fully Indiana, I mean, through and through. But Rake is a guy that's like, you know, he was one that I knew him because I grew up listening to sports radio in town. And then I found out that he went to UIndy too. So I was like, oh, okay. Like,
there's a path.
Right. There's a, you know what I mean? There's a path of somebody who has a career of talking into a mic and on camera and everything. Even though he'd say, you know, not bad for a fat guy. And he would, you know, he would say he should be on radio, but he's on TV, all those kind of things. And that's why we love Rake. But again, it was like, okay, this makes me feel a little bit better. When I went to Ball State, I didn't realize that other high schools across the country, across the state, had media programs, had radio stations at their school, had TV, to where I was walking in pretty much fully raw, like when I went to Ball State. I did Rebel Media Network with my guy Rob Brown, who's a legend and is my first mentor really in radio, where I was just doing color commentary for boys and girls basketball, just to have experience of getting on the mic somewhat, right?
To like, all like 17 listeners probably.
When I was a junior, senior in high school. And that was it. And so when I went to Ball State, I was surrounded by a bunch of kids who like, they went to like the Carmels of the world where they have like full radio stations that they were already doing radio shifts and had the nitty gritty. And I had no idea.
Carmel's crazy for like what they produce as a high school for the media perspective. I actually talked to someone, I think it might have been at Beefsteak. He hosted a radio show, said that he like DM'd you and that you showed up at the Carmel radios. Yeah. And like you were only supposed to be there for like 20 minutes or whatever. And you stayed for like over an hour just like chatting it up. I can't remember what the guy's name is. I think he's at IU now.
That's so funny.
And he was like, oh, yeah, like I was on the radio station at Carmel and I got Joey to come in for a day. And I was like, dude, that's crazy. He's coming on the show a little bit.
That's hilarious that he's old enough now to go to Beefsteak and to be, a part of that.
Yeah, he's 21.
Yeah. And that's, dude, I remember that. That's so funny. But they probably mentioned it. Like I walked in there and was just totally flabbergasted. I was like, you get to do this in high school? Like, dude, I had no idea at all. And so when I walked into Ball State, it was a bunch of these guys who, I mean, they already had like the Jim Nance type of voice and they knew how to call the games and they knew the ins and outs and and I was just like, dude, I just want to joke around about sports on the air. I don't know. And so then when I went to UIndy, it's way more of like, they throw you in the fire, but they don't have this expectation of former training. They're like, hey, we're going to throw you in the fire to get you experience. But like, we're really going to like hold your hand and where you're comfortable enough and you're feeling good, you know what I mean? And so it was just a lot more of like, okay, immediately when I got to UIndy, I was on the air, I was doing shifts on an FM station, reaching 80,000 people or whatever. You know, I had the opportunity to hop right in and do play-by-play for sports, right? You know, my first 2 months there, I was doing play-by-play for UND football. And because Ball State is such a prestigious place and has kind of a pecking order, right? That those experiences weren't there until later on.
And you talk about like the radio voice and like there's a mold.
Yes.
Right. So it's like the creativity that you could get at somewhere like a UND. Like, oh, I went to DePaul and I was in I got to do a lot of
media program there.
Great media
John
program.
Herrick. I don't know if you're familiar with John Herrick or not.
There's
He's a WIBC and now the sideline reporter for Indiana Athletics.
Hey, there we go. There's a bunch. I mean, fun fact for all the listeners out there they love Indiana fun facts. The founder of ESPN went to DePaul. Bill Rasmussen was a DePaul grad of like 1960 something or 70 something. Graduate.
Did you play ball there?
I was on the football team. I did not play football. I saw from like a small town of 1,200 people, or I guess 1,600 people. So being good at 1A football in Northern Indiana does not translate. I like got to DePaul literally the first day of camp. I like got toasted on a one-on-one by like a kid from Cathedral, and I was like, oh, they know how to play football down here. So I stayed on the team, but my senior year I transitioned to be like the social media guy.
Nice.
And that was like I still want to be around the locker room. I still want to do all stuff, but like Coach, let's be honest, it was Coach Lynch. He's a Ball State guy, IU guy.
Yes.
And he was like, I said, Coach, I'm never gonna play. Not even special teams. Like it just wasn't working out. But I was like, I still want to be part. So I managed Twitter and did a bunch of video production for them. And I made my first Moan on Bell hype video. And it got like 50,000 views, and I was hooked from that moment.
You're like the modern Rudy. Like the guys came in and they laid their jerseys down for you to be around the team still and everything. Like it's kind of
no, I don't. They always got annoyed because I like make them do interviews and stuff. And they're like, dude, like this is. Yeah. But it ended up, and I was like, hey, maybe one recruit saw a video that I made and like chose to go there over Wabash, and we'll call that a win.
That's an important thing, I think, too. On a kind of bigger. I'm glad you brought that up. Is just kind of finding those like little wins like that. It's an important mindset to keep. My brother-in-law went to Wabash, by the way. Oh, yeah. So he's big little giant.
Big little giant, dude. Well, so as you're going through, where did going from working in school media, where it's kind of like it's very safe, like if you mess up on a school radio station, it's not the end of the world. A
little different at UND though, because we're on the Diamond. So that's 88.7 FM that goes out throughout central Indiana.
Oh, so that's like a real thing.
So it's a real interesting juxtaposition because you have like 19-year-old kids on the radio talking about jazz to an audience that's probably the youngest age, about median 63 years old. And so these people would call in and they would not be happy, dude, if you mispronounced George Gershwin or something like that, George Gershwin or something. They would call in and they would let you know. They would email in and let you know.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a little bit different, but at the same time, yes, like there was a lot more avenues where you're like, hey, I'm not really getting paid for this. This is an educational experience. Totally.
Yeah, those people. I'd like to have a few words with whoever's emailing in there to the student radio station.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So you're going through there. Where was the first like corporate gig?
That was another thing that was really great about UND, and I think still is, and can set it apart for potential listeners who are trying to make this decision and want to get into this world. Something that was really attractive to me about it is that it's 8 minutes away from downtown Indianapolis. That's
if there's bad traffic.
Yeah, right. There's kind of like this factory line of UND students who work in the radio station there, who also have a part-time job at what now is Radio 1, what was formerly Emmis Communications, Jeff Smolian, callback. People would have part-time jobs and get their foot in the door at Emmis, which is 97.1, 1070 The Fan, 93 WIBC, B1057, right? That cluster of radio stations. So you're at school, working, getting experience in the radio station there, and then also you have your foot in the door, getting a little bit of coin, a little bit, right? But enough in college, and you're getting experience in there and you're in the building, right? So for me, I was like, cool, like I'm getting all this experience here. I'm in the building, actually on the radio station. I'm people are seeing my face at the Fan. I'm side producing for Grady and Big Joe at the time, or any of those guys, doing overnight shifts, anything you could, right? Because you're making a little bit of money and you're also getting experience, right? Valuable professional experience that can pay off.
And then the whole time you're doing this, right, it's starting like you're going down the radio, sports broadcaster type thing. In the back of your head is like, is SNL still like, or like getting into comedy still the end goal? Or does the marker start to change a little bit?
The marker started to change a little bit because I kind of just fully threw myself so into the world of sports broadcasting, of radio. When I was a junior at UND, I was a sports director at our radio station at UND. So I was in charge of making all the schedules, getting the broadcasts, everything, building the pregame show, postgame show, all that stuff. But then also I was working Saturday nights, Indiana Sports Talk, doing scoreboard updates, sideline fill-in producer as well. Bob Lovell would also be, I hate to keep throwing out recommendations for guests, but Bob Lovell hosted Indiana Sports Talk for I think 30 years now. It's every Friday and Saturday night from 9 to midnight across the state of Indiana, recapping all things Indiana sports, right? So I would come on, would do scoreboard updates. You do a 5-minute long one at the top of each hour. And then when he was going to break in and out, you do like a minute long one. And it's syndicated, right? So it had to be on the dot. You had to hit your marks, right? So this is all valuable experience, man. So I throw myself into that. I'm doing scoreboard updates. I'm doing overnight shifts downtown at Emmis, right? Where it's 12 to 6 a.m. or 7 to midnight on Saturday nights. Anything I can to take those shifts to get some money, to get some experience. Holiday shifts, yes, I'll do it, because everybody's Michael Grady told me, he's best way to make it in this business is just say yes to everything. If it's a holiday shift, it's a shift you don't want to do, be the guy that's always around, that's always saying yes.
The best ability is availability,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
There we go.
Calling back to football, right? And so that's what for 2 or 3 years, that's what I really did, is just sports broadcasting, hosting shows, doing scoreboard updates, doing everything I could to get on the Fan or WIBC.
And you graduate from college. What's the first gig look like?
My senior year, I go from sports director to the operations manager of the student radio station, right? Mm-hmm. And from there, my main radio professor, my advisor at UND, Scott Eaker, he always encourages the seniors to kind of branch out a little bit, try some stuff.
Oh.
It's your last year. You got the rest of your life to go work and try to be in this profession. Now's kind of your last chance, if you will, to use this time to scratch an itch, to try things.
Where you're still a student.
Correct.
You have the safety blanket of, you're a student. You're figuring it out.
So my first 2.5 years at UND, like I said, I was just all in sports broadcasting, play-by-play all the time. For a while there, I was like, man, being a play-by-play would be a pretty sick career. If I could just, and even now, I'm still kind of if I could just be a minor league baseball play-by-play announcer.
Randy Lewandowski, come on. The Indians need a play-by-play. Come on.
Come on. I mean,
you've done at least a call with them, right?
Yeah, I hopped in the booth last year and had some fun for a half inning or an inning. Yeah, I was in on that. And then my senior year, I was like, well, I still love to make people laugh. I'm in the living room doing impressions, my friends at school, my people that I've grown up with, and I do kind of have that wonder of how would I get there? What does that look like? And so I was like, all right, I'll try out this route a little bit. So I took this class, unbeknownst to me at the time, I took this class called Writing for Television. And I thought that it was just going to be kind of a required class in the media portion that was how to write newscasts and kind of more boring things like that. And then I took that class and it was not that. It was how to write comedy for TV, how to write sitcoms, spec scripts and build out shows like that. It was a 1 night a week class, but it was one of those that was for 2.5 hours, those long courses. It was just such a light bulb moment. I literally asked my professor after the second class of the semester, I was like, this is a career? People can make money from doing this. And he was like, I mean, if you're good enough, yeah. But yes, it is. Writing television and writing shows and building shows and creating characters. I was like, this is it. I mean, this is the greatest thing ever. You're just sitting around creating stories and writing funny, stupid stuff. This is it. From that point on, that was second semester 2015. Yeah, so we're going on 10 years now. This is it, man. If I need to be involved in this in some way where I'm sitting around or just sitting by myself and writing jokes, writing scripts, writing stories that are funny and that, I mean, that's just the best, So that's what took me down that path my senior year to scratch that itch and kind of go a different direction.
Well, I think you're doing a great job of outlining the piece that's needed to really thrive. I would say the majority of people can't get in front of the camera and get millions of views if you're doing it to get millions of views only. Like you have to have an underlying passion or like writing.
Yes.
Like a lot of mine, it's like when I uncover something, some new factoid or history piece or something that just like will make people proud to be from Indiana, I'm like, that's it. And it's like, it just so happens that like, you know, thousands and thousands of people love the same thing or like to learn these things too.
Yeah.
And for you, it's like, okay, I found that I could enjoy if it meant sitting in a room, building characters, writing stories, doing all that stuff.
Yep.
Like that's it. And that's where like the passion there is where you just like got to keep pulling on that thread.
People always ask me like, how do you come up with this stuff? What do you mean? It's the best puzzle you'll ever do. Like and, you know, there's nothing more that I love than just like having this concept, forming it. How does this piece come into this? You know, how does it fit into here? How can I tinker with that to make it all fit to make something that I think is pretty? You know?
Yeah. And it's an art form. It really is. Like whether you're not, you make, I mean, whether it's travel content to humor content, like there's an art form of putting all those pieces together in a way that's going to get people to actually watch your video. Yeah. Like, I mean, if people are Mr. Beast fans out there, like he talks through this, like how long he'll look at a minute of a video, like the first minute of a video. And it's like down to the like millisecond. Yep. Every small detail like has to be right in the voiceover and this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, and there's a reason. Like he's just obsessed with this thing, and that's why he gets, you know, hundreds, billions of views, whatever it might be.
Totally.
So you find the passion. Is there like a direct path? Like, hey, comedy writers, go here, do this thing.
If you're looking at it on a grand scale, like probably, you know, go to New York or LA, write every day, get on stage as much as you can.
Kind of like do the Second City type route where they go and join like an improv group.
Yeah.
Is that like Sudeikis did that? He talks a lot about that. Because I think he's from like somewhere in the Midwest, I think Kansas City, Kansas, somewhere in there, Missouri. And so it's like, you go to a big city, join this thing. Yeah. And that's not the route that you chose.
I mean, it just wasn't, it wasn't something because I was so new to it. So I didn't want to fully go. And then again, it was like the whole, like, how do I make money? How do I balance doing both of them? You know what I mean? Professor, that advisor, he got me an internship in the Bob and Tom show my second semester of my senior year, which was great. Local, obviously, again, Bob and Tom, legends, still going. But yeah, I mean, I sat in a room and like looked up news stories for Tom and them to talk about on the air, and I like would write my 2 or 3 like crappy jokes in there that maybe he could use, you know what I mean? And just to get an idea starter. But, you know, so I was doing that, you know, so then I'm interning with Bob and Tom.
That's like 2015. So still like the rise of like short form video sketches and stuff like hasn't like totally engulfed the world like it is today in 2025.
No. You know, you had, you know, Jimmy Tatro was a big one.
Things seem to work out for him.
Yeah, totally. I mean, he's acting, writing, like doing it all. But I mean, he was a big one. I remember, and it was all just YouTube, and it was just like the same kind of like sketches.
Were you putting sketches out on YouTube?
No.
So you weren't putting out independent, like on your own platform content at this point. When did you start doing that?
I just graduated from college, you know, and all that stuff that I mentioned I'd done in college, you know, I'm thinking I'm going to walk out of school. I'm going to have employers lining up to hire me, man, with all my internships, all the stuff that I've done. And it wasn't like that. And so what I did was just kept working part-time, doing everything I could at the radio station downtown at Emmis, whether that's the Fan, IBC, any of those. Then actually I was driving a truck delivering chips. So
you're driving a truck delivering chips?
Yeah. June of 2016 to October of 2016.
So you're like getting on, like maybe there's a radio slot late at night or something? Like you're driving the truck all day and then go over to the radio station?
Not technically all day because it was so early. You know, the route would start at like 5 a.m. and then hopefully be done by like 10:30, 11. And then from there, I would try to go create, be on air, do whatever I could. If there were shifts I had to take that night, would do them. Was still working a lot of weekend shifts, you know, a lot of weekend shifts. And that's just like, I'm just sitting there pressing buttons, making sure the legal ID plays. Nothing fancy, but I'm picking up hours. It's money.
The easiest thing to do would have been like, okay, you know, you're facing some adversity. Maybe media is not going to pay the bills. Like maybe I got to go, you know, like maybe people were right back in the day of like That engineering degree would be, I would have the employers lining up the door.
Yeah, dude, I tell you what, when I was 22 and 23 and all my friends, they just graduated and they're, working at various XYZ company and,
they have health insurance and benefits and 401k match.
They're buying the most random stuff just because they can for the first time in their life. I'm walking in. I'm like, what is this stereo that you have here? They're just like, I don't know, dude. I just wanted to buy it. I thought it was sick. I'm like, man, must be nice. Like,
must be nice.
I'm hoping to be able to get 6 beers tonight while we're out in Broad Ripple.
Yeah, only if they're on sale.
Right, exactly.
Only if it's for Rock Lobster before midnight and they're doing dollar drinks or whatever it was.
That's where I was living. I was like, man, I don't know. Maybe living that lifestyle seems pretty nice.
Yeah.
But then it's you're lucky. The people along the way, like one of my great friends I've known forever, who took me under his wing back then when he's a financial advisor. I don't know why he took me under, because I had no money to be advised. But that's what great friends do. And I remember venting to him about this a little bit, and he just like, hey man, those guys might be like right here, right now, and you're like right here when it comes to finances. I believe in you, man. And like, if you keep at it, their potential might be right here for what they do. Your potential could tap out way up here if you just keep at it. I don't know why you're saying that. I appreciate it, because I haven't shown anything to be able to have that belief, but I think I will keep at it.
Have you like had that conversation of like, dude, you were like such a huge inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just little things along the way like that, that you have to kind of really hold on to and go back to. And it came with, at least, here I am thinking I'm going to talk to my financial advisor, which he makes money off me when I bring in more money for him, right? So he has every right in the world to be like, yeah, you know what? Why don't we wrap this up and get a real gig so we could get some actual money coming in? And he didn't do that. So just one of those things, right? And so, I'm delivering chips in the morning, to make extra money, like livable type of money, then staying at the radio station and doing what I can there. And then one day, in walks old Benny Polizzi, and we're both working at the same radio station together. And me and Ben grew up together. We went to the same grade school in high school. He's 3 years older than me.
Okay, so you guys weren't like boys, like totally boys back in the day?
It was weird because like I always looked up to him like an older brother, because he was the man. He was the running back. He was the good-looking dude. All the girls liked him. All the guys wanted to be him, right? He's the senior. I'm the freshman. Like, I played football. It's like, yeah, you want to be Ben.
Did he go to UND?
He did. His dad was the coach of UND for a long time.
Oh, there you go.
Joe Po. Yeah, Joe Polizzi. He always had that little brother kind of thing. I had that big brother kind of thing. And like one of my best friends, his older brother is Ben's best friend. And so we would kind of like randomly be at the same like houses every now and then. And we'd always have a good laugh about stuff. But then, yeah, he walked in and he picked up a gig because he wanted to start getting into media. He didn't like what he was doing, and he wanted to start getting into media. And all of a sudden, me and him are like overlapping on shifts. One day, I was just like, dude, why don't we do something together? Like, we both want to like make it in this media world. We both want to like do cool stuff or be funny. Like, why don't we just start doing stuff? He's like, all right, yeah, why not? So we started brainstorming, and then that's where we came up with Espresso, and that was just our way of being creative and our way of like having an umbrella to put out videos and sketches and stuff that we thought was funny and trying to make a name for ourselves.
Wow. Just by saying that he like, because you didn't know he was like coming in to pick up shifts or start to work in there?
No, that wasn't like he didn't walk in and then immediately was like that. Like, we kept overlapping at the radio station at like these crappy hours, it'd be like 11 p.m. on a Saturday. He's 26, I'm 23. All our friends are at Wild Beaver having fun. We're like at this radio station pressing buttons. That's what we wanted to do because we wanted to have down the road success.
That is an interesting piece too, because in a world today where it's like, well, you could post one TikTok and it be the Rizzler, right? And it's like you post a few videos.
Love the Rizzler.
Love the Rizzler. No Rizzler, nothing but respect there.
Yeah.
But it's a lot quicker of a journey, it seems. Granted, like I don't know how many videos they had posted. I'm just like
the potential has, yes.
Yeah. Versus like I know for a fact the Rizzler didn't have to like be on the radio for 5 years or whatever, like at 11 p.m. on a Saturday night. So like the like delayed gratification of getting your goals. Yeah. And I think that's a big piece, especially if there are maybe young creators that are watching this that are like, oh man, I want to make, and it's like, you got to pay you still got to pay some dues. You still got to like put in the effort and the work.
I think it also works because it helps, like, you know, you're gonna fail. You know, me and Ben went through a 3-year time frame where like nobody cared. No, you know, put out stuff. We'd be psyched if it got like 10 retweets. You know, we'd be psyched if it got like 20 comments, or wow, well, this one's really taken off. You know, like we were pumped when we started Espresso and it had 450 followers on Instagram. We're like, wow, 450 people follow this stupid thing that we do. This is crazy. And so it helped to be able to let us explore without the pressure of like, this one goes super viral, and now you got this audience, and everybody's like, you don't know what to do with it. What am I doing? I don't know. They don't know what to expect. I don't know what to do. So it was a great playground for us.
Big news from my friends over at Hope Plumbing. Now Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. You heard that right. They are now your one-stop shop for home services, offering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical. New name, added services, but same trustworthy, loyal company. They treat your home like their very own, and now that includes HVAC as well. Book your next home services appointment with Hope and mention Get Indiana, and Hope will give you a free membership for a year. A membership includes important services like whole home plumbing inspection, a free mainline drain snaking, 2 seasonal HVAC inspections, and so much more. That's a deal you can't miss out on. Call Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling and start saving today. Now let's get back into the show. Where was the turning point? Like, what was the point where it was like, oh shit, now we got something here?
Yeah, it was a few different things. Doing this on the side, Espresso for a while, 2-3 years. And then the fan, 1070 The Fan started. They were like, we want to have more of like a digital presence, and you guys are like perfect, we think, like young guys. So we started like kind of side contract work, doing stuff for them, and we kept at it. And you know, one for me was like the Andrew Luck. That was one of the first like, oh wow, okay, like maybe this is a tool that I can use, because that was the first impression that I had ever put out.
Yeah, when did you start putting videos out on Twitter?
Early 2017.
2017. Okay.
Early 2017.
So you were not on YouTube, not just on Twitter from predominantly?
YouTube, and then we'd post. I think Ben had like 1,600 followers on Instagram at the time, and we'd post on his because I had like 700.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And
right.
so we would just post on his.
What about? I think the one thing that holds a lot of people back is like making that transition and posting stuff, because your friends are going to make fun of you.
Tough.
When you want to go on the content creator journey, it all starts and people are like, bro, what are you posting?
Yeah. What is this? What is this coffee thing you guys are doing? Are you like, is it a brand, or you know? Yeah, basically I had like a whole lot of girls who were obsessed with Ben. They were just like, what? I just don't get it. Like, it's not that funny. Like, you know, and I was just like kind of over there. But my friends were always very supportive.
Yeah.
And Ben's friends too. Like, we both have had may not have understood it, but it wasn't ever like they were giving us a hard time or anything. You know, they were like, yeah, man, go for it. Like, you always wanted to do this. Like, you know.
What would you say to the aspiring creator that has that the reservation and like is almost just worried to get started?
I mean, you can live with that worry forever, or you can let it fly and see what happens. You're never gonna know until you do it.
And like, if it's not funny or if it doesn't hit, like the algorithm will just bury it, and like it'll be here today. Like, obviously, like within reason, but it's like,
sure,
if it's not good, like the algorithm does a pretty good job of telling you if your content's good or not.
Remove yourself and think about how often you see a video or see something every single day and you don't even register it. But to that person who posted it, they're thinking it's the biggest deal. But to you, it's a scroll.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, you don't even think about it 10 seconds later, you know? So I'd say that too is like, I've heard from different people, 10 seconds. Is it going to affect me in 10 seconds? Is it going to affect me in 10 minutes, 10 days, 10 years?
Yeah.
You know,
that's a great way, because it's like you never like swipe through and like see like a video that's not funny or not good and be like, oh my God, I actually hate that person. And like, oh,
maybe you do, but you know, you just send it in the private group chat on Instagram, and you know what I mean? Like, that's just the nature of the beast, you know, and you just got to accept it, as hard as it is to say.
Yeah. So then as time keeps going on, you guys are doing this, you're starting to pick up some steam. Yeah. You put out the impression, right? Yeah. The Andrew Luck impression was the first one?
Yeah.
What year was that? Do you know, like roughly?
March of 2019.
2019. So now you're 4 years out of school. You've been working, no longer delivering chips.
Yep.
So like, are you full time just like doing different media stuff?
Not even at that point yet, dude. I guess I was full time because of the amount of work that I was doing, but I wasn't like a technical full time employee. I was splitting hours doing digital work at the Fan. I was splitting hours still doing stuff for the radio, producing scoreboard updates, fill-in shifts, all of that. And altogether, it would work. It would equal out to be about 40 hours a week. But I didn't have like that official title, that official full-time thing where it's a salary and it's the benefits. That didn't come until I think the summer of 2019, where I got like the brand manager gig for the Fan. So I was in charge of running the YouTube channel, keeping up the website, keeping up all the social channels, like all the sponsored things that we do digitally. That was my job.
Okay, and at that point, it's like, okay, I got a full-time gig in this. I have one thing to worry on. Were you still, like, was part of it like, I still want to put out this fun content?
Yeah. Luckily, my boss at the time, she had a really good understanding and was super cool about, like, knowing that was important to me, knowing that me and Ben wanted to keep doing, knowing that that job wasn't anywhere, like, where I wanted to end up eventually. It was a nice gig, but I had bigger aspirations, and she understood that. So like, she was like, yeah, as long as you get your work done and your stuff done, like, go ahead and, run wild and create and do what you need to do with you and Ben, which was cool.
Was there like a specific video? So you put out the Andrew Luck one, like one that just like catapulted you, where it's like, if there's a turning point where you talk about like back in the day, engineering net worth, all the stuff. And it's like, where you're like, one day I'm going to get there, that like started to get you on the inflection point of like making this thing happen.
Yeah. So it's funny. Like the Andrew Luck one in the spring of 19, that one got me from like going to Colts open locker room media sessions, and the only person in there who would know me is Kevin Bowen, and everybody else would act like I didn't exist and wasn't even there. That went from that being my life to then now I could go to like a Colts media session and people would be like, dude, you Andrew Luck guy, I saw that. That's hilarious. And it's like, oh, okay. Like people, they actually, I'm not invisible. This is nice to know.
They've seen your video.
Right.
Yeah.
This is good, which is cool in of itself. Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. The turning one is Nick Saban Thanksgiving 2019. It was just honestly like a throwaway kind of video. I mean, it was one where creators out there, people are holding reservations or holding fears. It was just like, I was just in the point of my career, my life, where I was like, I think this is funny. I think it's a nice little hook. I think it's relatable. I like it. I'm gonna put it out there and see what happens. And that's the one that got me from 800 followers on Twitter to 15,000 in one day. And
like, as that's going on, like, what's your immediate reaction? You're like, holy shit, this is cool.
I can quit my job. I'm going to make it now. This is everything that I do, right?
At 15,000 followers, totally. You're like, yeah, I'm done.
Dude, because I mean, my entire life, everything that I've done in my career and school and everything, no matter what I put out, nothing would ever connect, right? Maybe some people got like a little enjoyment out of what me and Ben did or what something I put out, but nothing where like ESPN and Sports Illustrated and Fox and all these different brands were like reaching out. Hey, can we post this? Can we use this on our TV show? Can we post it ourselves? Followers just like continued to rise. I think I posted it the night before Thanksgiving 2019. And I think by Thanksgiving night, I had like 20,000 followers on Twitter. I had never seen growth like that. Like I didn't, you know what I mean? It didn't compute. So I'm thinking like, here we go, Obviously, I wasn't going to quit my job, but it just felt like it's like, we're starting to take off, man. It's happening.
Let's go. Hold on tight, because here we go.
Right, yeah.
But then there's also the pressure of like, okay, now I got to put out another one. And a video that like you think is like, I think it's funny, but like at this point you've been doing it for so long, like waiting for one to break through. You're like, it's like a little bit in the back of your head. You're like, it's probably going to get another like 3 retweets and my grandma might comment on it.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, I had been doing it for so long and always had like stockpiled so many ideas and had been scratching, flexing that muscle, working that muscle of like coming up with content ideas, concepts, writing them out, acting them, putting them out with Ben, whatnot, that like I knew that I was still going to be able to create things that I thought were funny and that were good. It was just like, okay, now I have this audience. Now it's about keeping them and growing it.
Yeah. So then you started to just put out more and like people were resonating with it and you continue to grow there.
Yeah. It was like a crazy synergy too, because like that year LSU was on their magical undefeated run and Coach O was like the biggest star in America. Right. I mean, 6 years ago at this point, it's crazy to think about, but like Coach O was the story. Coach O was the guy. And so then from Saban, people were like, oh, he does a Saban, but then, Coach O, I also found out that I could do a pretty good Coach O, right? And so then I added that into the arsenal, if you will. And then that just really, like, along with LSU's taking off in 2019, the O and everything that I was able to do, that was going along with it. So it was like this crazy synergy, like magic hurricane for my career that was happening.
Yeah. And then that winds up getting you in with Barstool.
Yeah.
Right. So you lead the fan to go to Barstool. And at the time, I mean, 2019, Barstool, I mean, it's been
So
big.
this is 2020.
This is 2020.
So it's Combine Week 2020 when the Combine's in town.
Is that before the pandemic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right before.
So right before Combine Week, that's your first official.
That's my first contact. As I'm putting out more stuff, fall of 2019 up until early 2020, starting to get more, it was such a wild time, even for like my family, because like I said, my parents, they're super into it. Right. And so they'd be like, do you see Kirk Herbstreit followed you, like, or whoever. Right. And so like, it was like, it felt like every day, every week that like somebody who I'd grown up just like worshiping, whether there's an athlete or somebody on TV or whatever, would like retweet something I did or follow me. And it was like, what the hell is going on? This is so crazy.
Are you making money from that?
No.
That's what I think people think. Oh, you get a ton of followers. All of a sudden, like Twitter is just writing you a check.
No.
But it's like, it's
still
pretty
working at the fan.
Yeah.
Still making $35K.
Hell yeah.
Still working there.
But continuing to put out content. And it's a lot. I mean, it's always enjoyable because you love doing it, but it's a lot more enjoyable when you're winning too, like when good things are happening.
Totally.
So then Combine Week comes around.
I get a message from Big Cat and just like, hey, I'd love to meet up. And now you're in Indy and we talk. And like, yeah, absolutely. So we get together. I do a video with him and PFT. It's great stuff.
That's sick.
It was awesome, because I've been listening and following those guys obviously forever. And then that night I was on the phone with Dave Portnoy, and he was asking me, about what I'm doing, what I want to do. Asked me if I want to come out to New York to see the office and stuff. And so I go out there. Me and my wife go out there, and we see everybody and everything. And then by the time that we left there, they had offered me a job.
And did you have to move to New York?
That was the plan.
So the plan was to pick up and go.
Yeah, the plan was to pick up and go. And then the first day officially that I started and announced that I was working there, the world shut down. Yeah. And like, that was the day, not when like everybody was kind of like, oh, you can hear about this COVID thing. That was the day when everybody's like, don't go outside for 2 weeks.
And had you already like got all your stuff for New York yet, or like?
No, we were just looking because they were very understanding of like,
you're
make
moving
it out when you make it out or whatever. You can stay if you want, but if you want to come out, we'd love to have it, whatever. And so me and my wife, we'd been married 6 months. We had no kids. We had only one cat at the time. So we were like, yeah, let's go to New York for this fun, it'll be this fun adventure. And then the pandemic happened. We never made it out. It just changed everything because I signed a 2-year deal there in March of 2020. And so by the time in early 21, when things were like kind of, you know what I mean? It was still in the back of everybody's head, but people could actually like live again, do stuff. I got 1 year left. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if we want to pick up and start over completely in New York with that.
And what does like a deal, like as a creator for someone like a Barstool or any of these, like, there's a ton of big orgs like these media companies. What does that look like? Like, is it like, hey, now you're like, you got to post X amount of times per week or this, that, the other thing? Like, what does that entail?
Not for me when I worked there. Just like, hey, just do what you do. And like, we'll use it on our platforms. We'll hopefully try to throw you in different shows and get you involved and whatnot. And it was like a dream for me because like, one, it's an awesome, it was an awesome company that I've followed forever. This is what I've always wanted to do, is just like be able to have reign to make sketches and do what I want and be creative, but then also get paid for it. When I didn't have to worry about like upkeeping a website or like answering emails from salespeople that, my position as a brand manager, like I had to do all this like technical, tedious, nitty gritty stuff that like took me away from creating videos and making characters and all that kind of stuff. And that's not what the deal was. So no, I mean, for me, it was just like, hey, just like do what you've been doing, like keep pushing stuff out, and yeah.
That's sick. Yeah. So at that point, you got to feel like, yep, this is living.
Yeah. Totally.
End of your 2 years comes out and you end up going out on your own. Now you do have the nitty gritty and you got to figure out, how to build a lifestyle and how to build, a career out on your own. How was that transition?
Scary, but exciting. Like I said, my 2 years was up. Wasn't moving to New York. Yeah, I think for various reasons, like it just wasn't the right fit for me. or for them. And so we just shook hands and was like, thanks for the time. And my manager, Anna, she's the best. She's been with me for close to 5 years now. And so it was just like me and her taking on the world, right? I mean, obviously my wife was there to support and everything.
And at this point, still 1 cat, 3 cats?
Ooh. March of 22, we were up 3 cats and a dog. We had gotten happy.
There we go.
Happen. So we had 3 cats and a dog. We had just bought a house, or we're in the process of buying a house, one that we're currently still in. No kids yet. Actually, we didn't know my wife was pregnant.
Nice.
So there was a lot going on.
And so you're going to be a dad at that point, and it's like you have to figure out how to continue to grow this career to support a family.
Totally.
So like initially off that jump, like what do you go do?
Maybe like a day where I was just kind of like a day of doubt, a day of what's going to happen. But then like that was what was exciting about it too, is like I was in a good spot. Like companies were reaching out to me. You know, it was exciting because it was like kind of like being a free agent. You know what I mean?
And at this point, the like creator lifestyle is definitely more established than it was in 2016. You know, like there were people that were making independent creators. There were people that were making careers off of this. Like you could go look at them and be like, okay, even if you're not with a big company, you know, like a big media company, you could go make videos, and there's a way to monetize this and make a lifestyle out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And so from that point, it was just, you know, me and Anna, and she would receive emails from different companies wanting to work with me, different brands. And so now it's over 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago almost. People will reach out. Is it a good fit? Do I want to do it? Do we want to do it? All the while that, you know, I've made more money than I ever thought I would from doing this, you know? And I provided a life to be able to have 2 kids and a wife and a mortgage. That's always a funny question that I get from older people, even some people out at the bar. They're like, really? You can live off of that? Like, yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah, right?
It's good. Like, you know, you say, well, I saw you do that one thing. That was pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, and they pay me for it too. It's great, you know?
And it's like, well, those are the best though too, when you can work with brands to make content, and then the people that are on the other end like don't even know that was a paid engagement, because it's just such good, authentic content.
Yeah.
Like, that's like the best possible way to be a creator, I feel like.
Or like I'll get some people that are just like, so like, how do you? I'm like, it's kind of confusing to me. Like, how do you make money? How does that? I'm like, okay, you watch TV, right? Yeah. What happens when your show is not on or the game goes to a break? They go to commercial. Yeah, people make money from that. You know, like that's like, the whole point.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm like, when I have a brand that I want to work with, or a company that I'm getting paid to post about something or create something to promote one of their products or whatever, it's a commercial. It's an ad.
Are there any, you know, brand deals or videos or that you were like ultra proud of? You're like, this was art.
A collab with Madden, EA Sports, Madden, NFL.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Both of them I had a lot of fun doing. Well, it was 2 years in a row. One of them was like, they had the Madden hotline where you could call in and do ratings, like make a case for a player to get rated higher or whatever. And so I did like 4 or 5 impressions calling the Madden hotline to promote that, which was a lot of fun. And then the next year, it was like, what I did was like a dad mini camp, because I had just had my baby boy. And so I was doing all different things of, you know, like what you would think of. Oh, that's what it was. They were promoting the return of mini games. Do you remember on like Madden 04?
Oh, yeah.
You'd sit with mini games and you do like the coffin corner if you wanted. You do the running back drills through the bags, all that. They're promoting the return of that. And so I did like dad mini games. And so it was me like practicing my handshake and like small talk and like putting a diaper on a football, how quickly I can do that. And that was really fun. I felt like, you know, those were like really organic things that I would post that I would think that were a funny hook or a sketch on my own, but now having Madden with it too.
Yeah. I always say that like with brands, or it's like, it's got to start with a video that I would do, even if it wasn't like a partnered content.
Yes.
Like, it's like, I got to be excited, because if I'm not, and all you're like, you just want to like give anyone some money to say,
they're going to tell.
This is the greatest fish sandwich that the world has ever seen, right? Like a Michigan brand reaches out, like, come on. You got to know the brand. Come on.
Like a big portion of content that I did for a while that wasn't just the impressions was like I was doing those boyfriend press conferences, where I'd do like post first date. I'd do like after meeting her parents or whatever that like went crazy. And so I did that with Applebee's on one of them, and it was like not a boyfriend, but it was just like the big game pre-game interview. It was just, again, it was one of those that like I would have done. I thought it was a solid concept, ended up being successful for Applebee's, but yeah.
Going out on your own, when did you you and Ben start putting up videos?
First one was the day after the Super Bowl 2017. Or no, the week before the Super Bowl 2017.
Week before the Super Bowl 2017. So 8 years later, I mean, you've been in some,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. In creator years, that's like, you're like nearing your pension, right?
Yeah.
You've been in some crazy cool experiences.
Yeah.
I mean, I just saw you met David Spade, and you're like taking a picture with it. Like, out of all of those, what's been the moment that just like, holy cow, this is cool?
Oh God, I've been really lucky, man. Every time that I think that like it's holy cow, this is the one, there's something else. I mean, I got to be an episode of Family Guy.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Probably, I mean, definitely top 3, top 5 over the last.
Like they used to reach out, like, hey, you want to come?
Alex Sulkin is the executive producer, one of the mainstays. I think he's been there from the start with Family Guy. Still is there. He followed me on social media because he found me through the Saban impressions and all that stuff. And we formed a little friendly, relationship online where we'd banter back and forth about things. He'd comment on my videos. We'd kind of have brainstorming sessions through DMs, things like that. Great guy. All of a sudden one day I get a DM from him and he's like, hey, would you have any interest in playing Owen Wilson on Family Guy? It's like, yeah. I mean, this is Pope Catholic, like that kind of thing. Like, let's go. Are you kidding me? I got cast to be French Owen Wilson in an episode of Family Guy. This is ridiculous. This is the craziest thing ever.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, it was 2 lines. But I got to I got to go in the studio and they had the script for me. Family Guy, the episode is The Stew Away. If anybody wants to pull up Stew Away, and it had my name and it had the scene that I was doing, and I was there with the producers and the director of the episode, and did my thing. And
where's a studio for them?
With me being in Indy, they just hooked me up with one downtown, Earshot.
So you roll into the studio here, but there's Family Guy, like they're flying their people out here.
Oh no, they just had them up on. It's post pandemic.
Oh, bro. Yeah,
they just Zoom, brother.
So you're zooming, and you get in there, you read your 2 lines. How many times do you have to read 2 lines?
I think I did it. I think I gave like 5 or 6 variations, 8 minutes.
And then how long from the time that you read the lines till the episode got pushed?
That's what's funny. That was awakening into television and everything. I was like, yeah, so this be out like next week? And they're like, oh no, we're looking at a bit.
Because this will be out by the time your kids hit college.
Yeah. So I recorded that November of 21. And then the episode didn't come out until November of 22.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's a while.
And I got I was on there, and then I got my name in the blue credits at the end, and it's so sick.
That's pretty sick.
And then meeting Peyton, doing that video with Peyton a month ago, that was another really surreal thing. Really, really surreal moment. Just, I'm a Steelers fan. Sorry, Indiana. Sorry, Indianapolis. But still, when you grow up in Indianapolis and the golden era of Colts football, Peyton Manning runs everybody's life. And so being able to do that was just insane.
Yeah. I mean, that has to be like just so cool. And what he's doing with Omaha Productions, like that whole thing is sick.
Yeah. It's the best. And Omaha's great. I'm lucky enough to be able to, I've collabed and partnered with them on a bunch of different things, and they're awesome. But yeah, Peyton's just like everything that you read and hear, all the stories about him, he comes off that way.
Dude, don't you love it when someone that you've like seen is as good as you hope they are?
Oh man, it was because Peyton didn't. I mean, they were doing this for me. Like they reached out to me because they like what I do, and I've done stuff. And Peyton and Eli think that my Manning Cast videos are funny, so they knew they were having that event in Indy. They know that I'm in Indy. They're like, "Hey, would you want to do something with Peyton?" Peyton didn't have to. I mean, the guy is the president. Like they have his every move. Like they know when he's coming from upstairs to downstairs, when he's coming down the hallway. Like he didn't have to do this, right? But he took 5 minutes to do it. The separator from Peyton from everybody else. So it's me, a guy named Jack who works for Omaha, in this side room down this side hallway at Old National Center, waiting for Peyton. Peyton comes in. Most guys in his stature, I believe, would just like kind of not really pay much attention to anything, just like hear what they have to do it, and then leave. Peyton comes in. Hey, pal, how are you? You know, he's talking to me. He compliments me because Jack's like, he's done some stuff for us. He's like, oh, you've done the Collinsworth Manning. Oh, yeah, I like it, buddy. I like it, you know, and super cool. But then I'm explaining to him kind of this little idea for this 50-second sketch to post. And Peyton is like locked in. And he's like asking questions about, when do you want me to enter? Do you think this line would be better than this line? Do you want me to really harp on Eli here? Or is this more of a me thing? Like, he's actively invested.
He cares
in this 50-second throwaway sketch that's just being done as a favor to me. So he's locked in. We do it in one take. Dude absolutely crushes it. Like, comes in at the perfect time, goes above and beyond what my expectations ever would be. And then we're walking out, and this is the best part. We're walking out down the hallway, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not going to bother him because he's given me enough time. Then he starts asking me about like where I grew up, because I told him I'm from Indy, and he asked where part I grew up. And then I'm walking out the door, and I'm walking past Marvin Harrison, Dwight Freeney, Jeff Saturday, and Peyton from behind me calls out, and he's just like, hey, Joey, you know these guys? I'm like, I don't know. I know them, but I don't know them. Peyton brings me over, introduces me to all these Colts legends. Yeah, he's just like telling Marvin Harrison and Jeff Saturday, he's like, yeah, this is Joey, does a real good job. He does really great. Collinsworth, he's done some stuff with us before. Like, Peyton Manning's giving these guys the rundown of me and what I'm doing, right? And so it was just totally insane. But that just speaks to the kind of guy that Peyton Manning is that like he actively is just that invested in everybody and everything that he works with.
Like, there's a reason he's just as successful as he is, right?
Yes,
That's the reason there. Yeah. I was somehow this week I got the gig of social media. Like, I was videotaping for Miles Teller in IU Bloomington.
No way.
So I got to go down, me and a few, Austin, Katie, Will, my team, we got to go down with Miles through Long Drink. Evan Burns is the co-founder of Long Drink. He's an IU guy. He had seen some of my stuff and was like, hey, we're doing an IU bar takeover. We're bringing in Miles. Would you guys come down and capture content for us? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. We'll be there. So we go down there, and it's like we're sitting in this green room in the upstairs down in Bloomington, and Miles Teller walks in.
Yeah.
And like my number one thing I prepped her, I was like, hey, if we want to have cool opportunities like this, don't be fans.
Yeah,
like, you just gotta be normal. Yeah. Like, I was like wondering, it's like he's coming over, he was in Toronto. I think they had done one before, like the night before. So from Toronto down to Indy and down to Bloomington, and I was like, I don't know, like he was as authentic as you'd hope to be. Yeah. And kudos to this dude. So one, he walks into these bars, and obviously all the college girls go absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And I'm just like back there by the bar, like with my my gimbal, like recording all this stuff. And he signed no less than 1,000 autographs.
Wow.
Like, and like had energy. He did a full hour of autograph signing, basically, like handing out drinks, autograph signing behind the bar. Everyone's going, like, it was like the loudest room I'd ever been in.
Wow.
From there goes over to Kilroy's, does the exact same thing for another hour and a half.
Was he boozing at all?
I mean, he's drinking, having fun, but like
nothing crazy.
But it's like the easy thing to do would just be like go out there, dance around a little bit, like the soundtrack, Top Gun
your
comes
little
off.
hat, and
But it's like he's working the entire bar, handing out drinks, signing all the stuff. It was high energy the whole time.
Yeah.
Versus like it wasn't like I have to be here and do this. It was like I get to be here and do this. Like these people
changes the game, man.
Yeah, he's signing girls' phones, like no phone case, just like they're handing him an iPhone. And he's signing the back of it.
Wow,
it was nuts. But it was one of those moments where it's like, you know, as big as you get, whatever it is, it's like if you're still like taking the approach of I get to do this, like you're going to continue to have success.
Yeah, totally.
And he gained a lot of, I mean, especially when you're in Indiana, it's like not a ton of Hollywood comes here, but when they do, it's like I think that a lot of Hoosiers maybe even assume like, oh yeah, they're gonna be super not Hollywood.
Oh, big time.
He was like having great conversations. Like he was just very genuine, especially even when he was off, like in this place that it's just the worker type, the crew. He was still very authentic there and not like.
What night was that?
Tuesday.
Now I know where my wife was. That makes sense.
She
was out that night. She made her way down to Bloomington to see old Miles. She loves Miles Teller.
Wait, was she really there?
No.
Oh, I was like, whoa, dude. Yeah, that checks out. Dude, I love it. We're wrapping up the show. I appreciate you giving us the time. I guess I want to end. I have just a few kind of more rapid fire questions. Sure. Number one piece of advice for young creators out there that want to make it.
One, if you don't have the job that you want, make the job that you want. in terms of, like, if you want to be really into coffee and do coffee videos, start doing coffee videos. If you want to do comedy, start putting sketches out there. And then 2, have the baseball mindset, Probably going to fail 7 out of 10 times. The three ones that hit, great. And got to have a quick mindset to get over that.
That is, spectacular advice. And it's just, you shoot or shoot. Yeah. Right? You just got to keep going. Yep. Has there ever been a video that you thought was going to crush that just like didn't pan out the way you wanted it to?
Always. All the time.
Is there one that sticks with you?
Yeah, me and Ben, we talk about this one pretty regularly. We had this idea. We were making fun of like these robot husbands that you see on your timelines, that like they have, if you go to their page, it's just them and their wife or their fiance in the same pose throughout the entire thing. And like at every wedding, at every event, no matter what it is, and they have the exact same smile. And so we're like, these guys are not real. They're like robots. And so we came up with this sketch. It was called Robot Hunty because we were talking about how like there's these guys, that's what they are. They're robots. And these girls want these guys who are like these robots who just are at their every beck and call and are like the picture perfect husband or partner or boyfriend. It was kind of like an infomercial to be able to like get yourself a robot honey, and it just flopped, dude. It just like me and Ben we still talk about it and laugh our ass off about it to this day. But it was one of those where like you check the comments and it's like, can't all be winners. Swing and a miss. And we're like, dang, all right. And everybody's, I guess those were the robot hunties right there.
Yeah, right.
About it. Yeah.
I mean, the stuff you'll find in the comment section on the internet is crazy.
Yeah, no, I just avoid.
I just saw your one sketch, or like it was a stand-up bit.
Oh, I don't even want to know.
Oh.
Don't even tell me.
It was good. No. I didn't. Not a comment, but just it was a sketch about a comment about losing weight.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just like, oh, dude, I'm feeling good about myself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. That's the whole bit is you can't win. And it's like you get, you think that you get a rude awakening and that wakes you up to it, and then all of a sudden you think you're good, and then people still find a way to knock you down.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Totally.
The comment section of the internet is wild.
Yeah.
All right. Final 3 questions that we ask everyone who comes in and sits in the chair. First one, I mean, those are all going to be near and dear to you because, I mean, you could go, even now, you could go to New York, you could go to LA, you could go move, pick up and go, but you're here in Indy, right? So what's something the world needs to know about Indiana?
For Indiana, it's home to the best city in the world, the best host city in the world, especially. That being Indianapolis. For everything that you get to do here, I mean, everybody talks about it all the time, but the accessibility, the way that people can go about and have 350,000 people at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but then also have 20,000 people at Gainbridge Fieldhouse for a playoff game in the same day. You can do all of that. That's pretty much it, is that, like, I'd say that Indianapolis has to be the most underrated, best city that still doesn't get enough credit nationally and worldwide, in my opinion, that it should.
It is the Hoosier hospitality, right?
Yep.
Let us host you.
Needs to be another Super Bowl here. Yeah, 2012. A whole lot of stuff started in the NFL based off what Indianapolis did in 2012.
Come on. Reveal a spot that more people need to know about. What is a hidden gem in Indiana?
Dugout is like one of my favorite hangouts. Just go get a bunch of beers and hang out with the fellas, especially in the summer night or whatever. And they keep expanding, which is great. Nick's awesome over there. Love the Dugout. Geraldine's is a phenomenal restaurant experience. The food's great. They got like piano playing, a little bit of soft light music. It's like it's just one building that's an old building. It's like a sliver of a building almost. And you sit in there and they do coffee service after, and they got great creme brulee. And it's just a great dining experience with awesome food. And then one of my favorite spots too is Binkley's, just down the road from here.
Oh, no, that's a great spot. It's like not too far.
I know that it's not, especially for people around here, it's not, but like I feel, maybe statewide or even some people in Indy or people who are certainly traveling here, you go to Binkley's, going to get a good meal and a good drink and a good time.
Heck yeah. I've heard really good things about Geraldine's, and I've never ventured down there. We're going to have to do that. I also love a supper club. I don't know what a supper club is, but I'm intrigued by that.
It just has a little bit different feel,
Yeah. We're having a supper club.
It does.
Final question for you. This is how we learn more about other Hoosiers, get potential guest recommendations. Who is a Hoosier that we need to keep on our radar someone who's doing big things.
Got to be Ben Polizzi, right?
Like there are a lot of Hoosiers that have interesting lives.
Yeah.
He might be at the top of people from Indiana or in Indiana.
Yeah.
Does he still live here?
No.
Oh, he's full on Hollywood now?
Full on Hollywood.
Ben, full Hollywood.
Yeah.
But he's back. Is he back?
He does. He comes back a good amount. I mean, his whole family's still here.
Yeah.
You know, he'll come back and forth in between shows and stuff for the holidays. So I'll have to shoot you over next time he's around or going to be here for a bit. I'll have to shoot you over because, yeah, you want to talk about, and then it would be interesting, honestly, for me to be able to hear, because I'm sure you'd probably run through a lot of the same stuff that you ran through with me, to hear his side of it,
like his come up story,
and the opposite side of it for when we started to work together, and that thing. So I mean, yeah, when you have a dude who is a nationally recognized comic, 1 million+ followers on most of his social platforms, reality TV star, 3 seasons over,
3 seasons over, dude, he's just running that thing. It's like it's just so cool, especially when you see. I remember like some of his early videos too. I mean, both of your guys' early videos of like the evolutions of just like figuring out what the career in entertainment looks like. I think it's super cool. Yeah.
He's got to be the one, man.
I would love to hear his side of the like. You're like, he was a senior, like all the running back. The girls wanted him, yada yada yada. And it'd be funny to hear his perspective there.
Yeah.
Man, this has been awesome. We appreciate you coming on. 2 of you Indy's finest. That's what both. Oh no, he was a Marion grad, wasn't he?
I think he technically he claims UIndy.
UIndy,
he gets it.
2 of the finest Greyhounds that the city has to offer. Man, keep up the great work. Appreciate you coming in, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Nate. Appreciate the time, and thanks for everybody out there. And love Indy, man. Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Get In. If you like what you heard, make sure you leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. This show is made possible by our friends up at Sweetwater. Whether you're looking to start a podcast or take your content to the next level, click the link in the description to see all of my gear recommendations at sweetwater.com. If you want a behind-the-scenes look at everything we're doing across the state, make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Nate Spangle. Thank you so much for listening and being part of what makes the Hoosier State great. We'll see you next time here on Get In.